Hey everyone, welcome to a new tutorial of Amazon Clone. I am very excited about this tutorial because finally we'll be starting something new and something big. So in this tutorial, we'll be setting up the backend, that is backend database for authentication. Under previous video, we have set up the following server that is running over to my localhost 8080. So if you have not seen that video, kindly watch that. Also, if you are new here, kindly subscribe. I need to complete 10k subscriber before ending this year. So make sure you are hitting that not like button, but subscribe button and also pressing the bell icon. Also, if you want the daily updates, kindly follow over to my Instagram. And without any further delay, let's get started. So if you have seen the previous tutorial, we have completed the following thing here. We have set up our basic server that is running over to my port of 8080. So in this video, we will be setting up the database for authentication. Right. So what I'll be doing, I'll be sorting my server for now. So let's stop our server. And here I'll be installing certain packages. Right. So here, okay, this thing is looking cool. So I won't maximize it because the following background is looking cool. Now the major reason of installing more packages is nothing but simply setting up our Postgres. So make sure you have installed Postgres under a local system so that we shall be using it under this tutorial. So here I'll be simply writing here npm install pg, that is npm install Postgres. After this I will be having one more package known as type ORM. We'll be using an ORM, that is object relational mapper, over the top of Postgres to get all of our queries done without writing raw SQL queries. Right, so you have to write the following command of npm install pg and type ORM. Once you have done this, simply press enter. Now there's a whole lot of big concept behind type ORM, so I will be also explaining over how to write a proper code for compiling your entire SQL queries with the help of ORM. So don't worry about that. Alright, so once we have got everything here, we also need to get some developer packages. So here I will be simply writing here npm install @type/type ORM, I guess, and hyphen. Also for PG, that is for Postgres, we'll simply write npm install @type ORM @types PG and save and dev, that is hyphen save hyphen dev. Let's make it here. Alright, I guess there is no package for type ORM, not a big issue. So let's minimize it here. If I check my package.json file, you can see I got the following package of type ORM and PG. Right. So what I'll be doing, let's minimize everything. So here under my source folder, I will be getting a folder known as database. Right. Under database, I will be getting two different folders for entities and all the repositories. Entities are nothing but simply the model of our entire database, that is the tables under our database, and the repository will be containing the actual methods. Right, the actual methods such as saving all the users, fetching all the users, deleting some users, and so and so. So here I'll be getting a folder known as entities. So make sure you are creating a new folder known as entities and also one more folder known as repository. Right, so here you can see I got two folders of entities and repositories. Also instead of entities, let's make it a singular form of entity. Right, so here first of all, if you have seen the following diagram here, alright, not this one, but under my entire model of my database, you can see I have a table known as user. Right, so here I will be getting an entity for the user. Right, so how to do that? Simply create a new file. So here I'll be getting a file known as user.entity.ts. But here what will be happening here? We have to also create our backend for our employees, that is for delivery boys. Right, so here what I'll be doing, I'll be getting a entity known as customer. Instead of user, I'll be saying customer dot entity dot ts. Right, so here I'll be calling it to be customer entity. So here I'll be using a decorator known as entity. Right, so here you simply have to write here @entity. Right, simply write here @entity and it will be automatically imported from type ORM. Under this you have to simply write here, that is after opening brackets, you have to simply write here the name, that is alias of it, to be customer. Right, now once we have done this thing, what I'll be doing, I'll be creating a new class known as customer entity, that is our customer model. Now this thing will be extending with the base entity. Right, now here we need to do certain changes under our configuration file. So simply press your quick fix and simply enable experimental decorators. Right, so at the top it will be getting the option of experimental decorator, and also you have to write here a new option of emit decorator metadata only to be true. Right, so see, you have to write the following two options under a compiler options under tsconfig.json file. Now once I have done this, you can see I got my customer entity up and ready. So here according to our database model, so let's change it to customer. Right, so here you can see under my customer table, it will be containing IDs, email and password. Right, so here I'll be getting a new column known as primary generated column. Now after this column, you simply have to write here the following column name. So here I'll be calling my column name to be customer ID. Right, now the customer ID is going to be not null, so I'll be simply writing here following exclamation mark, and here I'll be simply saying the following type of it is a number. Alright, so here I'll be simply writing here a number. As we have discussed under a model, it will be a numeric, so you have to simply write here number. After this, I'll be writing here one more column. So here you can simply write here column, which will be imported from type ORM, and under this I'll be writing certain properties. So first of all, I'll say the column is not nullable, so I'll say nullable to be false. Right. After this, I'll be giving my column a name. So here column name will be customer email. It will be a type of string. So you simply have to write here string. Because we have discussed this thing under our model as well. Because the user email will be a text. So as our customer email will be a text. So I can simply copy the customer, that is the column of customer, and here I'll be simply writing here customer password. It will be a string as well. Now this will be our complete entity for customer for this instance, right? Because in the future it will be updating as well. So now what we can do, we can export the following class. So here I'll simply write here export class customer entity. Now once we have done this thing, let's get a repository for it. So now under my repository, I'll be getting a folder for customers. All right, wrong spelling. And let's get a folder known as customer. After this, I will be getting one more folder for delivery boys. Or instead of delivery boys, let's call them employees. Right, so under customer folder, I will be getting a new file for all the entity. Right, so here I'll be simply writing here customer.repository.es, that is TypeScript. Now I will be starting the entire file with the new decorator known as entity repository. Under this, you have to simply write the following entity class. So here I'll be simply writing here customer entity. Right, it will be auto imported because we are here. We are exporting the entire class. Now once we have done this thing, I'll be simply writing here export class customer repository. Now some of you may be thinking that why we are writing so big code. That's because we need to make our entire application to be a production based application. That's why we are writing some solid code. So here I'll be simply writing here the following customer repository extends a repository. Now the following repository will be taking a type. So here I'll be simply writing a type to be customer entity. Now once we have done this, we are now good to go to write some methods. Right, so now under this class I will be writing a new method for simply adding all the customers, right? For adding a new customer data under our database. So here what I'll do, I'll be getting a new method which will going to be asynchronous. So I'll be calling this to be add customer. Now the following method of add customer will be requiring a request to be a parameter. So I'll be saying request to be request and a response to be a response. Right. Alright, let's open the curly brace. Easy. So now under this method of add customer, I will be able to add new customers under my database. Now how will we do that? First of all, I need to take certain input from the user, that is from a customer. So I'll be simply saying here customer email and customer password. This will be from request.body. Right. Now I will be explaining more about request.body in some later time, but for now just bear with me. And here you can see you will be getting these errors because we need to also import request and a response from our express module. Right, so you can simply write here request and response from express, so that this following request and response will be inferred to this express module's request and response. Now we are taking the user input from our customer email and customer password. So right now what we can do, we can use create query builder function that type ORM will be giving to us. With the help of create query builder, we will be able to save, that is we will be able to build certain operations to save all the customer data under our database. So now what I'll be doing here, I'll be simply saying await. Alright, await this dot. You can see after pressing this dot, you'll be getting an option of create query builder. With the help of this query builder, you will be able to write raw SQL queries with the proper functions. So here under create query builder, what we can do, we can append this with the alias. Now alias will be nothing but simply your entity name of customer, right? So you can simply copy that and paste it here. Now under this, what I'll do, I'll simply say insert operation. Under this insert operation, what I can do, I can say values. Now under values, you need to write here customer email to be customer email. Now under TypeScript, what we can do, we can directly infer customer email to be a customer email and customer password to be a customer password. That's because the argument names and the property names are exactly the same. So you can write both of them at a single instance. After this, you can simply write here execute. Right. So now what we are doing, we are opening our query builder, we are inserting some values, which are these values, and we are executing them. Now this thing will be a future. Under the terms of Dart, it will be a future, but under the terms of TypeScript, it will be a promise. So now what I can do, I can append the execute and use the following methods of catch, then, and finally. So now I'll be using a method of then. It will be taking an argument of data, which will be a type of any. Now make sure you have seen the tutorial of TypeScript basics. If I show to you, there is some tutorial developed by me, that is made by me for TypeScript beginners, simply this one. So make sure you have seen the following tutorial, so you'll be getting a better understanding of how TypeScript will be working. So now I'll be throwing a new function here, and under the then phrase, I'll say if data is not equal to undefined, if we have got some data, I'll say return response.send. Now the following response.send is exactly the same code that we are writing here, right? For res.send the following value. Now here I will be opening my JSON data, and under this I'll be simply saying added to be true, and also some message. So here I'll be saying message of customer added in database, right? Some proper spelling, customer added in database. Now this will be our entire method. Now I can copy the entire block and I'll say dot catch. Under catch, I can catch some errors, which will be a type of any, and I can throw a new arrow function. Under this, I'll say if error is not equal to undefined, I'll say added to be false, and here I'll say something went wrong, because we should never show our exact programming errors, that is some coding errors, to the normal users, because they won't be understanding anything. So I'll be simply saying something went wrong, try again. But to debug our entire code, I'll simply say console log the entire error. Now this will be a method for adding customers, right? First of all, we are taking a request and response to be our arguments. We are also interpreting the following request.body, that is the input from the user, and also we are using create query builder function to add some values under our database. Now this was the complete explanation. Now this was the complete method for adding the customers. So now what we can do, once we have got our repository, we need to create certain controllers. So now what I'll do, under my source, I'll be getting a folder known as controller. Under controller, I'll be having a folder of customer and also a folder of employee. So now as we are working over to customer, I'll say here customer dot controller dot ts, right? That is TypeScript. Now here I'll be creating, first of all, that is I will be importing the request and response and paste it here. I'll be simply saying export class of customer controller, and here under this I'll be getting some static methods. So under this I'll be getting the method name to be exactly the same as our add customer, right? I can simply write it here, and under this we need to use the following method that we have defined under our repository. So for that purpose, what we need to do, I'll say let customer repository should be equal to get custom repository. This is a function that TypeORM will be providing to us, and under this you simply have to provide the object, which will be nothing but simply customer repository. After this I can simply say await customer repository dot add customer. It will be taking request and response as arguments. Right, you can see I got my customer controller. We have got a method which is static of add customer. Now once we have done this thing, what we need to do, we need to create one more folder. Yes, this is the last folder. So here I'll be getting one more folder for all the routes, right? All right, all the routes. So under routes folder, similarly we'll be getting a folder on our customer and a folder known as employee. So right now under my customer folder, I'll be getting a folder that is a route known as customer dot routes dot ts. So under this I will be defining all the routes of my application. So first of all, what we can do, as we normally do, we can copy the request and response, paste it here, and here what I'll do, I'll say let's say first of all let's import the router. So I'll say import router from express, right? So here I'll simply say constant customer router should be equal to a function of router, right? Now what I'll do, I'll say customer router and press dot. After pressing dot, you will be getting a bunch of methods. So I'll be simply using a post method, and under this post method I'll be adding here a path. So the path will be slash add, and the following method will be customer controller dot add customer. Now this will be entirely enough thing. After this I'll simply say export, not extend but export the customer router, right? Under curly braces, let's export the customer router. What we are doing here, first of all, we have got an instance of our router to be customer router, and here I'll be simply writing here a post method with the help of post method, we will be able to insert some data under our backend, that is under our database. So under the following customer router, I am using a post router, that is post method. Go to the following path of /add, and the method is nothing but simply add customer. So I can simply save it for now. And now we have completed all of the steps that are required to complete our entire database. We have got our entity, repository, controller, and routes. Now what we need to do, we need to connect the actual Postgres database with our entire server. So now let's get started with doing that thing. So what I'll be doing, under my source file, I'll be getting a file known as orm config. Alright, orm config.ts file. So under my orm config.ts file, I will be writing a connection code between all of my Postgres and my server. Now your code will be looking something like this. I have simply copied this code from my previous projects, or it will take more time for writing the same code again and again. I have got my following orm config. Under this, I have got a connection option to be a connection option, and I have got a bunch of other properties. So first of all, here you simply have to remove the following URL from this side. It won't be helping us for localhost. So I can simply remove SSL as well. So this will be our entire code. Now what you need to do, you simply have to write your username, your Postgres username, your password, and your database. Now what I'll be doing, I'll be opening my terminal and I'll be getting a new database. Right. So here I'll be simply writing PSQL -U and write here Postgres and press enter. Now let me enter my password as well. So here you can see, if I simply press /l, that is /l, you will be getting a bunch of all of your databases. So now what I will be doing, I'll be getting a new database. So I'll be simply saying create database Amazon clone semicolon and press enter. So now you can see we have created a new database known as Amazon clone. So now to view the database, you can simply say /c and simply say Amazon clone and press enter. Now you can see you will be getting option of you are connected as Amazon clone, that is you are connected a database of Amazon clone as a user of Postgres. So right now I can copy the Amazon clone name and paste it under my orm config, that is somewhere between here. So right now if I do this thing, I will be able to connect, that is I will be able to add all of the data under my database. So now what I will be doing, I'll be clearing everything and I'll say npm run dev one more time. Right. So now what we need to do, under the following entities list, we need to add all the entities. So I'll be simply adding the entity of customer entity. Right. So now we have got our entire file of orm config created. So now I will be going back under my app.ts. I need to remove this code for now because I need to establish a new connection. So now what I'll be doing, I'll simply say create connection. The following option will be imported from type orm. Right. Also I can say import config from orm, alright, /orm config. You need to do the following thing. Right now under create connection, I can say config as connection options. Now you need to have the connection options from the type orm. After this, I can simply say .then, and under then you can simply use the following mark of connection to be any, and you can throw a new arrow function. You can also catch some errors, so let's catch some errors as well. Now let me write the first code and then I will be explaining to you about what the thing is happening here. So right now I have got a method name of create connection. Under this I have got the following parameter to be config from our orm config as connection options. After that simply we have got a then phrase and our catch phrase. So under my then phrase I will be pasting everything that I have copied. So right now what I can do, I can remove some stuff from this side and I can paste it back, that is paste it after the create connection method. So under this you can see I've got the following method of connection, that is the argument of connection. So I can simply say if connection dot, alright, so I can simply say if connection dot is connected, I'll be simply console logging here some back under. So here let's have our double ticks. So here I'll be simply using the emoji of elephant and I'll be simply saying Postgres, that is elephant, is connected. Right, simply save it. Also we'll be getting certain errors. So I can copy the following console log, paste it here, and here I'll be using a different emoji of let's say some red, right, some red sign, angry emoji, and here the emoji will be conveying us the error. Right, so under this I'll simply say the arrow of dollar quotation and error. Right, so this will be it. So now let's try to run our entire server. Alright, so now you can see without any further delay, we're absolutely getting our Postgres is connected and server is rocking over 8080. So now I'll stop the entire process one more time and I'll run it one more time. So now you can see my Postgres is connected and my server is rocking over 8080. So now what we need to do, instead of using the following path of app.get, I can simply say here app.use. Under this, I'll be using a path of customer, right? Slash backslash customer, and here I'll be simply using a handler known as customer router, right? So now I can go under my customer router, and here I'll be using the new method name be customer router dot get. It will be a slash path, and here I'll be simply saying request dot response that we have done. So here let's throw an arrow function similar like this, and here I'll simply say response dot send a message of customer route, right? So now simply save it. Let's make it happen one more time. So now let's try to run it over to our actual browser. So you can see under my browser, if I refresh it one more time, I will be getting an error that is cannot get slash. But as soon as I append this thing with customer, I will be getting here customer route. Now let me explain to you about what is going on here. So first of all, you can see under my customer router, I have got a path of slash, and also under my app.ts, I am using the following customer router having a home path of customer. Now with the help of this combination, I am able to render the following code here, that is customer route. If I say here something like this and save it, and if I refresh it one more time, let's wait for it, you can see you will be getting your actual value rendered onto your server, right? So you can simply uncomment this and refresh it one more time. You can see the customer route will be cleared. Now this was everything for adding some paths. Now let's try to add some data under our customer table, right? So now what we can do, we can open a new Postman, that is we can open our Postman, not a new Postman, simply open our Postman. Alright, so I got my Postman up and ready. So let's start from scratch. So now I can copy the following path, paste it here, right? So you can simply convert the following get path to a post one. And now what we need to do, under the body, choose the raw option, and under this choose the JSON option. And under this, what we have to write, we have to write your own code that you have defined. If I go under my add customer method, from the controller, let's go to repository. You can see you are getting the values of customer email and customer password. So right now, if I simply paste it here, customer email to be, let's say, my email, gmail.com. And if I simply say your customer password to be fake password for now, if I simply add the following path of slash add and send a get request, that is post request, you can see you will be getting a message of added to be true. And if I go back, and if I open my Postgres one more time here, so now what I can do, I've got an extension known as Postgres Sql Explorer. You should be installing the following Explorer, that is extension, not Explorer, from Visual Studio extensions. Right now, simply search here Postgres and install the following thing of Postgres Sql Explorer. Right. So now I can go under Explorer, refresh everything. If I open it one more time, you can see I got a bunch of databases. If I open my Amazon clone, you can see I got a schema of public, and under the schema, I got a table of customer. Right now, if I simply right click over it and simply select top 1000, you can see I got my entire data here. That is abhishek@gmail.com and some fake password. Now let's try to add some more data. So let's say rohan@gmail.com and simply send a get request, that is post request. Alright, we have to start our server. So simply write the following command of npm run dev. Let's wait for it. And send it one more time, send a post request. Alright, it is executed. Now, if I go under my SQL Explorer and if I run the query one more time, you can see you will be getting two different data. abhishek@gmail.com fake password, rohan@gmail.com fake password. And in this way, you can add certain data under a database. And I guess this was all for today, because we have extended a last time. We have successfully learned how to establish a connection between our Postgres and Express, and also add some data with the help of our customer entity. Now I hope this tutorial has helped you a lot in setting up your Postgres. Also, you have learned how to create entities, how to create repository, and so on. So I'll see you in the next one with another great tutorial. Have a good day.